What's up, y'all? It's Jimmy coming to you guys with another video. Before we get into the video, as always, make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. And when you guys subscribe, please make sure you guys are hitting that notification button. We run into the video. Another new month means we have a bunch of new sneakers coming out. I think I said in March, summer, springtime is when all the sneaker brands usually come out with the heat. But I'm not gonna lie, March was a little disappointing. I don't know if it's because I just didn't manage to hit on anything, but I felt like March wasn't all too big in sneaker releases. I will say, however, I think April is gonna look a lot better. I took a brief peek at the list. Like I said, these lists are always incomplete. Like Nike, Adidas, New Balance will always drop more sneakers than the lists actually know. So that's one thing to keep in mind too. Always make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled on like sneaker news, nice kicks, and things like that, just because I'm not going to be the best source for all the sneakers that are coming out. And just to give you guys a heads up, this week is only going to have one video, just because I haven't really picked up too many clothes, too many sneakers. I just haven't really been hitting on much. And then for clothing, there just really hasn't been anything that has caught my eye, but I have bought a couple pieces this week that should be in town, or like I guess on my front door by this weekend. So next weekend we'll be back on the 2 video a week schedule, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up that this is going to be the only video this week. But getting right into the releases of the month, on April 7th, like I said, we're actually already a couple days in April, so we missed the first 6 days. But on April 7th, we have a pair of Union LA Nike Dunk Lows, and these are the Court Purples. So these are actually pretty dope. There's just something about the whole color blocking, the material, that really catches my eye. I've always been a sucker for Laker colorway inspired shoes. Typically on Jordans, not so much, just because I feel like Jordans are a little bit too athletic, and this looks more, Dunks are sometimes more of a lifestyle shoe. So this is definitely a dope shoe that I would pick up, rock for the summertime. They actually came out on March 31st through Union, but I believe on April 7th, which is today, they will be coming out on the sneakers app. And then also on April 7th, we have a pair of Nike Dunk High Vintage Black. So I believe the first pair of vintage Nike Dunks that Nike dropped was like the Spartan Greens, and this is their second version in the Vintage Black. I really like the fact that Nike is doing something like this, just because, right, like, it definitely doesn't seem like they're going to stop dropping dunks anytime soon, and I feel like a lot of us are tired of the silhouette. So at least they're trying to spice it up a little bit, just because, yeah, they could give us new colorways, but sometimes the reality of it is that those colorways aren't that great. But this is something right here that I could see a lot of people actually want to wear. So cool to see this, like, it's nothing crazy, nothing new, but something I would consider picking up. And then also on April 7th, we have a pair of Union Nike Dunk Low Argon. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. But this is basically the same type of material used on the previous Nike Dunk that I talked about. So I really like these dunks just because they look pretty different from all the dunks that we've seen. The colors on this one aren't too bad. I'm not the biggest fan of them. Like, I don't think it's a bad shoe by any means, but if I had to pick between this one and then the ones that are coming out in the Court Purples, I would definitely go with the Court Purples. I don't know, there's just something about that purple, yellow, white, and just, even though I don't really like white dunks, I think these are really fire. But nonetheless, the Argons look like a dope shoe, so definitely are going to try to go for these if I can even hit on them. And a shoe I know that isn't going to be super hyped, or I'm pretty sure a lot of people aren't even going to be interested in, but I feel like I have to talk about it just out of respect, is the Reebok Question Mid Mocha Toe. So the colorway on these is actually pretty fire. Like, the Question Mid is actually a pretty, I guess, iconic classic shoe, but I think just nowadays that's just not really the style, right? Like, this is something maybe if you're actually gonna hoop in them, or you're really going for that athleisure wear, you would pick up. But just with today's like fashion trends, not that many people are gonna be eyeing these. But nonetheless, I think it's a pretty dope shoe. But I pick it up myself. I mean, unless I could get it for a crazy steal under retail, then sure, I think they would be pretty dope to have in the collection. But there's no way I'm going out of my way to pick up these shoes. And then also on April 8th, we have the Air Jordan 1 Low Football Gray. So these are interesting. I don't know. I guess the name is a little interesting just because I don't know where the football gray comes from. It almost has kind of like a UNC 1 Low type of feel. I think these are pretty dope, you know, like I have gotten away from like the whole Air Jordan 1 Low silhouette, Air Jordan 1 Mid. You know, these are different from like the neutral gray Air Jordan 1 Lows, and that's the silhouette that I like. And this one right here isn't bad by any means. It's just a little bit more clunky for my taste, so I typically don't ever really purchase this model in particular. And then also on April 8th, we have a pair of off-white Nike Blazer Lows. So I believe there's actually two colorways. There's this colorway right here that you guys see, and on the sneakers app, there's like a black and like Volt, where it's very similar to like the black rubber dunks that came out. But these right here are extremely wild, right? Like this is something that the common eye, like the common consumer, the everyday consumer is gonna look at these and not really know how to feel about them at first, you know? I'm pretty sure because of Virgil's passing, again, always rest in peace, Virgil. He definitely changed the sneaker game. But going back to the sneaker, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna look at this, and because of Virgil's passing, they're not gonna want to talk bad about the shoe, right? Because just out of respect, right? So that's fair. But this right here is not that bad, you know. Like I think the bottom portion of the midsole and then the outsole is gonna be the part that is a little bit too wild for most people. But other than that, the uppers of the shoe aren't too crazy, you know. It has your classic, you know, foam tongue that you see on a lot of the off-whites, the holes, just a whole vintage look. You know, I could definitely see a little bit more like fashion people, like if you're living in like LA or New York or Chicago, pull off a shoe like this. But if you're just, you know, your average consumer, average Joe living in Kansas or Oklahoma, like, you know, this is probably a shoe that, you know, I'm pretty sure there are people that live there that can definitely pull this off. But you know, average Timmy that's 15 years old is probably not gonna really want this shoe. And then also on April 8th, just because it is kind of a pretty dope colorway, I'll talk about it. You have another Air Jordan 1 Low. These are called the Light Matter Roots, so interesting name. I don't know if this is like a woman's only colorway. I will say, you know, I think in the past couple months, I haven't really seen the Air Jordan 1 Low hit like Champs, Foot Locker, retail stores like that. It's been more so like, you know, boutique type of shops. So interesting to see why Nike is slowing down, pumping these out to like Champs and things like that. But this, you know, I mentioned this shoe because I think it's gonna be a pretty good shoe for the summertime. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of this Air Jordan 1 Low silhouette, but the colorway isn't bad. It's a low top shoe. Retail is $100, you can't go wrong with it. So this was the other colorway I was talking about for the Nike Blazer Low and the off-white. These are black and electro green. Also coming out on April 8th, and retail is $140. So, you know, this is the other colorway. It's kind of cool because it seems like they just tried to add everything from a Nike off-white shoe onto this one blazer, because now you see the strings that are typically from the dunks on this blazer here. For myself, I'll go ahead and say I like the white pair a little bit more than this one, just because I'm not really the biggest fan of like all black shoes. So I think the white ones are going to be a lot better for the summertime. But if you guys manage to cop these two, but honestly, I feel you can never really go wrong with a Nike off-white sneaker. And then on April 9th, I'm not going to talk too much about this shoe, but we have the Adidas Yeezy Boost 350 V2 Zebra. That was a very long-winded name, but these are coming back out, I believe, for the third time, I want to say, or maybe even the fourth time. I'm just not too sure. But this is a classic shoe that, you know, if you were there during that time frame, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you were, because I feel like this is when a lot of people really became sneakerheads. This is when sneakers were probably getting into like almost like its all-time hype with like Supreme, Adidas, Yeezys, like that whole Jerry Boys look. So this was a prime time for a lot of people to join the sneaker community. But nonetheless, even though, you know, I've actually never really been too big on like the whole Adidas Yeezy wave, I think this is a classic shoe, right? Like, you just have to give respect where it's due. I personally won't be picking this up, but you know, if you guys missed out on every other single time where you guys had a shot to cop these, now you guys have a second chance. And then moving a couple days forward, on April 12th, we have the Polaroid Nike SB Dunk Lows. So I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I do not F with these shoes whatsoever. I've never liked white silhouettes, and especially if there's already a white midsole. I don't know, like, I'm almost like speechless just because the shoe, like, you know, it's a Polaroid collab, so which, you know, is actually pretty dope. But the shoe itself, I mean, I'm just not feeling it. Like, I think like it's a simple shoe, right? But just the placement of the white, the black. I think the swooshes are dope, like the rainbow swooshes. But other than that, I feel like this shoe is definitely a miss in my book. Not one that I'm gonna be super stoked or super hyped to get. But you know, this is a shoe that you think is fire, then so be it. You know, like, you should definitely go out and try to cop it. But yeah, this is just definitely not it for me. And then on April 15th, we have a collab with Union. These are the Air Jordan 2 Ratings. So I feel like I've talked about these before, maybe in like upcoming sneakers for 2022. But these are finally coming out on April 15th. Retail is $225, and these are actually not too bad, you know. Like, it's crazy because after the Off-White collab with the Air Jordan 2s, I feel like everyone started to realize like how nice Air Jordan 2s are. These I think are going to be perfect for the summertime. Like, the color is nice. They have that siren orange, the whole khaki beige neutral color, you know, which is super easy to pull off during this time. So definitely a shoe, you know, like, if I can cop them, I'll definitely keep them, wear them for the summertime. But also one where if I miss it, I'm really not going to be too mad, you know. Like, I would love to have them, you know, actually wear them, make a video for y'all, but you know, we'll see if I actually even manage to cop. And then also on April 15th, we have a pair of Nike Dunk Low Fossil Rose. So these are actually pretty fire. Like, I don't know what the material, so it looks like it's like an all suede upper dunk, very similar to like the Dusty Olives. And I will say, like, these are actually really nice the more I look at them. Very simple color blocking. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know what Nike SB it is. I think it's like the Iron Maidens. I want to say it's not the Iron Maidens, but it's basically an all gray Nike Dunk, and then the swoosh is blue. It originally came out in a high top form, and then it came out again as a low top form. So I really just like this overall color blocking. It reminds me of that Nike SB that I always thought was really nice. I think the materials on this are going to be pretty solid as well. I know summer isn't like the most breathable during the summertime, but nonetheless, I think this is going to be a dope shoe if you can get your hands on it. And then again on April 16th, we have a re-release of the Adidas Yeezy Foam Runners in the Sulfur colorway. I believe this is a re-release. This might be maybe just like another rendition, very similar rendition of a colorway that has already came out. But nonetheless, I mean, if you guys can cop these for the summertime, I am all for copying like cozy, like slide type shoes. So I think these are a good cop if you guys can manage to cop them, especially for retail. You know, for $90, you can't go wrong with that. And then on April 28th, we have a pair of Air Jordan 11 Lows in the pure violet. So I don't know too much about these. You know, these are actually pretty nice. You know, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, it's definitely more of a quote unquote feminine shoe. You know, like, it's, I mean, I say that with quotation marks, and I felt silly saying it just because in 2022, like, I just feel like fashion is a little bit, or not even a little bit, but a lot more gender fluid, especially when it comes to sneakers. You know, like forget whether it's like a woman or a men's shoe. Like, I don't know, like, it's just kind of like, if it's a dope sneaker, it's a dope sneaker. And I'll say this right here is a pretty dope sneaker. What I really like about this shoe is the fact that they use kind of like an icy purple sole. That was my first time ever seeing anything like this. I think there's a couple pairs that Jordan Brand released like back in the day that had like a straight up like orange sole, if you guys know what I'm talking about. And I think those were also an Air Jordan 11 Low. But these are actually pretty dope. You know, it definitely looks like an Easter type of shoe. I don't know if I'm gonna go out and like rush to the store to buy these or to like pay resell on them. but these are pretty nice, you know, like I like the color blocking on them. Like I don't know if this is like an official picture of the shoe, but if it is, I'll say this is actually pretty nice. Like the shape looks solid, the color looks solid, and actually the materials even look pretty good. And on April 29th, we have another pair of Air Jordan 2s, this time a collab with Alma Manier. So these, in my opinion, are definitely not as nice as the Union ones, even though they're two completely different shoes, just because the Union Air Jordan 2 is like a deconstructed model as opposed to these are like a normal Air Jordan 2. I don't know if it's just like this picture or something, but I don't know, like there's just something about the shape of this particular pair right here that looks really off to me. Like it looks almost like a clown shoe. Like the toe box looks way too skinny. The heel portion looks way too thick. But like I said, maybe it's just this picture here or this specific model. But even then, like the colorway, I'm not too big on, you know, like the black midsole, I could honestly do a hard pass on. Maybe this is a shoe that's better suited for like the fall, winter time, but I'll say for spring, summer, I don't know, like this is gonna definitely be a pass for me. And then on April 30th, we have a pair of Air Jordan 13 called the Brave Blue. So don't know too much about these, you know, like I said, no one in 2022, or not that many people I should say, are really messing with the Air Jordan 13s, you know, like there's always going to be like the older sneakerheads, like the die-hard Jordan brand fanatics and all that, that are always going to basically cop every single shoe that they love, or maybe those that love the Air Jordan 13 that are going to pick these up. But I don't imagine like the TikTok kids or like all those new wave kids picking up this shoe. But nonetheless, I'm not gonna lie, I do think this is a dope colorway. I do like the whole color blocking. That blue portion just basically reminds me of the Flint 13s, but this time you have a lot more black in this shoe. I actually think the Flint 13s don't have any black on the shoe, so now you have some black on the shoe. I don't think this is going to be a shoe that sells out. But that was all the sneaker releases coming out in April. Like I said, this list is definitely incomplete. Like the sneaker brands are always going to drop a lot more sneakers than we anticipate. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled on like sneakers, like the sneakers app, Nice Kicks, Sneaker News. Let me know down below in the comments which sneaker you guys are looking forward to the most. For myself, I'll probably go ahead and say the Union Air Jordan 2s. I think that colorway, the materials, and just like the overall silhouette of the shoe is going to be really dope to see in person and really fire for the summertime. So really hoping I get my hands on a pair of those. But it's going to wrap up the video. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.